Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Faith-Based Organizations Green Initiative webinar series. Today we will discuss how faith organizations can develop and execute an energy plan. During the webinar, everyone will be in listen-only mode. If you have any questions, please submit them in the chat window, and after the webinar, each question will be answered in a follow-up email. Today's presenter is James Wilson. James' college studies are in the field of system analysis, green building, green technology, and sustainability. He is a building performance analysis and lead consultant. He was also the chief architect of Our Health Ministry, a platform to develop electronic health ministries in faith-based organizations. James, if you can take it from here.
Okay, let me get my headphones here. Thanks, Laura. Thanks for giving that presentation here. We're going to wait a little bit for everybody to jump on board with our webinar. Just give everybody a few minutes to jump on board, and then we're going to start. I'm looking forward for this webinar. Okay, so just wait a few minutes, and everybody will start soon. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Hopefully, we'll get everybody to jump on board. And we're going to actually start our webinar today. Today is June 5th. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what's going on. A little housekeeping things. If anybody needs to be on the conference call via voice instead of the computer, they can dial 1-800-780-8834. International calls is 913-904-9853. The access code is 3325888, and hit the pound key, and you can actually dial in via telephone. So we're going to actually start. People are actually listening in via the link message system, so that's the Microsoft link system. So you should be able to see the presentation. If you want to go ahead and remove away from the small view of the gallery view, if you look on the on the right bottom corner, you'll see, looks like a picture icon, and you can actually change that to presentation mode. You can also go ahead and actually to the right of that icon, you can actually change things up, and it'll actually make it a full screen. Over on the left-hand side, it gives you a couple of tools available. One of the tools is the chat window. With the chat window, you can go ahead and actually use a chat to put in the questions. What we're going to do is we're going to actually have all questions being submitted, and then what we'll do is we'll follow those questions up via email so that everybody can actually get in their questions. We're going to follow up the questions with a follow-up email with also the link to the recorded webinar. This webinar will be available soon, and we'll actually send out a follow-up email. Also, we'll post it up on the FBOGreen Initiative website, and we'll also post it up on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this great opportunity here. And what this whole thing is about is the FBOGreen Initiative is a way for chess to go ahead and actually reach back and reach out to the faith-based community, and help them to organize and set up energy efficiency options and renewable energy situations for the organization. Excuse me. So first off, we want to talk about who is chess. Well, first off, we will actually go over the presentation itself. So we'll talk about who is chess. We'll go over some of the issues on what is an energy environmental plan. We'll also talk about why should faith-based organizations want to do an energy and environmental planning. We'll look at the planning guide on how to start, how we look at the methodology on starting, and how we work with those different organizations doing that. We'll also talk a little bit about the case studies. We'll show you a case study of faith-based organizations utilizing energy efficiency to actually save money, which then in turn is available for other projects within organizations. We'll also look at the FBOGreen Initiative, what that's all about, and then we'll have our question and answers period. Okay, so real quick, I don't want to put a lot of time in this one, but who is chess? Well, we're a holistic organization that basically looks at the energy efficiency, on-site energy production, energy monitoring, indoor air quality, and environmental health. We've got a team of consultants that work throughout the United States, and we're also a veteran-owned company. And what we're trying to do is really approach the FBOGreen Initiative to really help out, faith-based organizations in need, because we really saw some of the issues that we're faced with. If we look at what exactly is an energy and environmental plan, well, basically this is a strategic roadmap to it for a organization to actually pull together all the stakeholders, the resources, and everything they need to actually address their energy efficiency, energy needs, and also to help the community that's directly affected those faith-based organizations. So once we look at these things and we look through the presentation, you'll fully understand why that is very necessary for faith-based organizations to really look at a energy plan. So let's talk about some of those stakeholders that we deal with. So if you notice here, right on the left, we have our public sector. Well, the public sector is going to be for your utility companies and everything else. Your water companies, your gas companies, electric companies, and everything else. That's on the utility side. And then, of course, on the right here, we've got our nonprofit organizations. That's your FBOGreens, your faith-based organizations. And then you have your private sector stakeholders. That would be groups like us, CHESS, that are looking to help and partner up with faith-based organizations. So if we start over to our public sector, one of the key groups in the public sector, obviously the utility companies, but a lot of people, when we're working with organizations and faith-based organizations, they really don't really understand who they are. I mean, public utility companies think they're government-based. Well, not really. I mean, most public utility companies are publicly traded. These large organizations, you can look at them on the NASDAQ, but they're actually regulated. All utilities, in most cases, are regulated per state by what's called the Public Utility Commissions, and I would really tell everybody to really look at their state public utility companies, because this is where all the rates are negotiated, and a lot of people don't know what's really coming down. Let me show you for a big example. In the state of Ohio, where I'm from, there was a Senate bill. There was Ohio Senate Bill 221, and I'm going to show you how it really impacts faith-based organizations, and also not just faith-based organizations, but residential, commercial, and industrial clients. So what the Senate Bill 221 actually did was it actually develops an energy efficiency standards, and what this chart right here shows is the utility cost or utility rates. And if you notice one thing, and I always tell everybody that utility cost and rates, their costs, everything else, they never really go down. I mean, they're always going to increase. And what happened with the Senate Bill 221 was that the utility companies and everything else negotiated with Public Utility Commission, with the Ohio State Senate, to actually tack on an additional cost on all the utility bills that are being issued out to their clients. This is all clients, residential, commercial, industrial, all clients that use utilities for energy and natural gas and everything else, so that they can go ahead and actually add into their operations energy efficiency emission measures. So, talk about the state of Ohio, we've got one of the largest uses of coal burning plants to generate electricity. Well, there's an initiative that has been on the books for years, that they should be converted over from coal over to gas, but they've been waiting so long. So now what this money is extra money they're collecting, is to help to offset the cost that they're going to be utilizing to switch over from coal over to gas. And you can debate which one, but me ourselves personally, we feel that some of the issues that are dealt with the coal is a major problem, because it actually increases the health risk and health problems within our community. But they're also negotiated with the public utility company that a portion of that funds is actually available for the clients to initiate their own energy and renewable energy, projects. And so you look at these projects where you have these rebates for switching over to certain type of lighting, LED lighting, and everything else. Well, that funds are coming from this project here, and a lot of people don't know that, and it's really evident because there's this pot of money there that's available that people are not utilizing. And it's really key that people start to utilize these funds. Matter of fact, I just looked on there that not only they're not utilizing, but the rate of the projects that are being submitted is actually going down. So, it's just one of those scenarios that you use it and lose it. But a lot of people don't even know that this wasn't even on the books, that it was initiated in 2008. It went into effect 2009, and they're still tacking it on up until 2025. So there's funds available up until 2025. So we really need to take advantage of this, and that's what our partnership really would help out. And so if you look at going down the bullet points here, what are the impacts? Well, the cost of electricity is affected. Also, it also provides incentives to reduce energy consumptions through the installation of energy measures. That is what's stated inside of the Senate Bill 221. So again, it's one of those scenarios. If you don't use it, you lose it. And then we look at, since we're a holistic organization, we also look at the other initiatives as it relates to environmental issues. And basically, we talk about the energy policies. We're involved and engaged with several government groups, including the EPA, and to actually help to reduce the effects of the energy that we use, the indoor air quality, outdoor air quality as far as pollution and everything else. Because when you'll see later on in the presentation on exactly how these measures or how these different things are affecting our health. And so us being faith-based organizations, or we really need to be better stewards over this because it's directly affecting the people in the community that we serve. So we want to really talk about this right here, and this is just basically some internal knowledge. We want to put this slide in here, but a lot of people really don't understand exactly what's going on. We have two different pieces here. We have the supply side, and that's your utility companies. That's what the guys that for the Senate Bill 221 was actually negotiating with public utility companies to actually collect this money on top of the bills for the utility bills. And then we have the demand side. And the demand side is going to be highly important here because that's all of the utilities that you use. I mean, including electricity, for heating and cooling, the fuel, water consumption, sewer usage, and everything else. That's all on the demand side. So this right here talks a little bit about that right there. And so if you understand all this stuff right here, it's really good because it really talks about the supply and the demand. That'll be kind of relevant inside of the further along in the presentation here. And so we really want to talk about um, you know strategy and forecasting on your energy needs. And why should a faith-based organization even want to deal with this? Because a lot of times, a lot of people don't believe that they have the power to affect what's going on with your utility costs. But in actuality, you have a huge amount of power available to you. So why would you want to do it? You want to actually look at the future issues that are going to be facing you with your faith-based organizations. You want to actually do budgets and everything else. We're actually highly in tune with the triple bottom line accounting system. That means that especially with faith-based organizations, we look at what we do and how we're better stewards on how that affects the people that we serve, also the planet and the environment that we're actually a part of, and also the cost, the money that we actually collect. We want to make sure that we're better stewards of that. So strategy and cost forecasting is extremely important for faith-based organizations to really follow that. And so we're going to be talking about that and how we can do that with an energy plan. So here it is right here. Why should a faith-based organization even want to actually engage in an energy and environmental plan? Well, as I stated before, one of the key elements is it's going to be controlling the cost and the budget. It also deals with strategic and forecasting. We also have that dealing with this, you're going to help to engage membership. That's kind of a area that a lot of people, like a corporation, look at that and they would talk about how they're going to be engaging their employees to help have a better culture within their corporation. The same thing applies with a faith-based organization. You're going to engage your membership so that you can have a more engaged membership, and you can actually have a better culture within your membership. Also, faith-based organizations aren't really on an island. They're directly involved in their community. So, there's a community surrounding them. If you've got this faith-based organization, it's just like a closed society and they're not directly affecting their community, then really some of the point, why should they even be inside of the community in the first place? They want to be engaging their community, engaging their surroundings. We talk about the issue of controlling the cost and budget. This right here is a survey that was put out there by the National Christian Poll, and talked about the budgets. And in most cases, we're looking at a medium church operating budget is around $300,000, and we have some of the issues as it relates to going to utilities, but we'll talk about $10,000 on a medium side, and that's roughly around $30,000. We're talking about $30,000 on a medium small church, that's being affected. Well, if we can actually cut that $30,000 down to like 60%, 70%, and reducing that, we're talking about a significant amount of money that can be utilized for other services and other missions within that faith-based organization. And that's, again, that's some of the things we're looking at affecting or dealing with. And then if we look at strategic and forecasting, if you notice throughout the country, we're having problems or issues with weather situations. Inside of the South, even, or let's say the Midwest, actually have some major issues with drought and heat in the South. We've got hurricane season. We've got tornadoes are popping up inside of inside of the middle of the country, in the northern part of the country, and even in Washington D.C. we had issues with snow that we never really had an issues with. Well, this could actually help control some of the costs because those utility costs are going to be, rising. I was looking at the CNBC with the money channel for NBC, and there was one of the presidents for one of the large utility companies, and they were making a statement that their stock is going to be going up because the weather pattern is increasing, and it's being more volatile. And so now it's going to be an opportunity for them to have more profits because in certain parts of the world it's going to be hotter. Sorry, part of the country in the world is going to be hotter, and so they're going to be charged more on electricity. But at the same time, in some of the northern parts of the country in the world, it's going to be colder, so they're going to be charging more for the heat they're being utilized. Well, that's what we have to deal with here. So the faith-based organizations need to understand that so that they can go ahead and actually have a strategy to offset that. And so we're going to be talking about that inside of our initiative here, in our presentations, in our future presentations also. So we look at other things like stewards of resources, and this is basically a study that that the Energy Star actually talked about, for faith-based organizations, and they made a statement that within this report that there is over 370,000 faith-based organizations in the United States, and if they would have cut 10% of their utility costs and energy costs, that would nearly save $315 million for missions and other priorities. So if you understand that, and if you understand what we're looking at their case study even, $315 million, that's a lot of money. But just imagine if we can cut those utility costs extra. I mean, 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60%. Just imagine that this number now doubles and triples and quadruples. How much money will be available for other priorities for these faith-based organizations? I mean, we're talking about food food missions, and workforce development, membership development. There's a lot of things that can be done to help out those organizations, and we talk about other issues. Why should you start off with a plan? And let's say that we have the fellowship membership. I mean, we've got FBO Greens. They want to engage their membership, and this is a great way to do that. We're looking at here. These are perfect examples, of faith-based organizations actually reaching out to their membership and pulling them together on a good cause and being better stewards within their organizations. And also, we can talk about impacting the community. So we talk about that right now. Many states and federal government programs are being eliminated and cut. So now faith-based organizations are really feeling the pinch. For supplying certain things. I mean, I've worked in ministry and I've noticed that the food banks is becoming a huge priority within faith-based organizations. I mean, we're dealing with mental health issues. So in my faith-based in my faith organization, we initiated with an internal mental health ministry that really tried to help individuals and veterans and everything else deal with mental health issues. So that's something that faith-based organizations, if they had the funds available, they can actually put more effort to help that community and outreach to that community. So, basically, let's just stop right here and talk about things about how we can actually start off with our plan. So we have here at Chess, this faith-based initiative, we actually have a roadmap or a plan on how for faith-based organizations to start their energy plan and their energy environmental plan. So here it is right here. This is the plan right here. And we start off with identifying partners, and we'll go in depth in these different areas. We talk about form a leadership team, make a vision statement, get energy and environmental baselines. We'll talk a little bit about that. Develop specific goals. Ask, assign task, and start the program. Identify financing. Confirm the plan. Implement the plan, and follow up and monitor. So if we start off with the first one, we'll start off with identifying partners and stakeholders. Again, part of this faith-based initiative, what we're doing is we've pulled together a lot of partners and stakeholders to help faith groups to start their whole process. Again, Chess, we are, partners. We want to partner up with as many faith-based organizations throughout the country, and we want to, utilize our full resources to actually, start on these faith-based groups to get things together. I mean, that's what we do. We actually, pull together initiatives and projects. We actually pull together partners. We actually have our own staff that we actually, implement energy efficiency projects. Renewable on-site renewable energy projects, so that we can generate energy, help faith-based organizations generate, energy on site. And that's what we're all there for. I mean, if we look at this, we really want to start identifying partners and the stakeholders so we can actually make this plan pull together and be successful. Then what we try to do is, we try to help faith-based organizations form leadership team. I mean, we're already most faith-based organizations actually have ministry teams. When I was with, when I did ministry work with my church, in our faith groups, all of our partners that we have to deal with, we actually develop leadership groups. To run ministries. So we're going to be doing the exact same thing with the faith-based initiative in our energy plan. We're going to help you guys develop leadership teams. And then the other thing too is the next step is you want to develop a vision statement. So here are the common objectives and common goals for developing a vision statement. We want to increase and ensure energy reliability. These are just some ideas for objectives. We want to minimize our environmental impacts. We want to diversify energy supply when we use local and renewable resources, maybe on-site power. Another key area, we want to strengthen and support the economic development of our local community. We want to build workforce jobs, and that's another thing too. The initiative we're doing, with this is that we're actually doing a online training center for every faith-based group that comes up, and then certain groups or certain faith-based organizations that have the resources, we're looking at implementing a on-site training center within that faith-based organization so that they can actually have a training center right there on site, and to help out that faith-based organization, and then also the community for their members to develop jobs. I mean, that's one of the key components. We want to make sure that everybody actually have the opportunity to and be involved and engaged. We want to ensure, and another goal could be is we can want to ensure energy affordability. But not just for the faith-based organization. Just imagine if we can do membership engagement where we're actually making energy affordable for the actual members. I mean, how good would that be? So that would be great right there. So the next step we're looking at is to actually do what's called a baseline. So a lot of groups don't know that there again when we're talking about that Senate Bill 221, there's funds available in most states that do things like energy audits, of their organization, and there's rebates available for that. And then what we do at Chess is we actually install on-site energy monitoring equipment so you can develop a baseline. So yeah, you have utility bills right there, your gas bill, electric bill, water bill, and sewer bill there. But we can also install um, energy equipment on site that can look at the energy usage. So now we can actually get an accurate baseline. So when we start making our retrofits, we start working with, partnering up with our faith-based initiative church groups, we can actually look at how much utilities are being used on those facilities. And if faith-based groups actually have multiple facilities, we can actually look at how that's being affected throughout the organization's multiple buildings. So this is extremely helpful because we can even we can start looking at how we can affect energy saving just by implementing these tools right here. Um, and so now we look at the next steps, and that is developing the specific goals for it. So we want to look at the vision, objectives of the goal, of the initiative that you're putting on going, the energy plan, the environmental plan, and look at our baselines, our barriers, how we're going to actually pull it together. Those are going to be extremely important for us to make sure that we have a successful plan put in place. I mean, if we don't have our goals and our objectives, well thought out, then in most cases the plan is not going to work. So let's give an example. Let's look at a couple of goals that we want to look at here. So remember the other slide we had when we talked about the actual supply and demand side. So the supply side was coming from the utility companies. The demand side is what we use internally. So if we look at this right here, this is actually an energy demand side goal setting. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at how a goal might be set for the demand side management. So here we are. We're going to look. See, we're going to say that for our goal, we're going to start off with a 50% savings for heating. We're going to target for a 30% savings for our cooling. We're going to deal with a 40 to 70% savings for our lighting. A lot of people don't know that commercial energy usage, lighting is probably one of the largest energy use. Sorry, lighting is one of the largest energy usage for those organizations. I mean, that goes for most commercial buildings. It does change for residential, but definitely lighting is the biggest one. We want to deal with ventilation. We want to save it 20% off of that, and then we have water consumption. We want to save 25% off of that. So if we look at this is an example of a energy usage, what we call an energy inventory. So right now, this organization, this faith-based organization, basically has a 150,000 budget. Out of that, that budget we looked at before. So we're saying that right now, this organization uses $22,000 for heating, $67,000 for lighting, $30,000 for cooling, $12,000 for water, and $18,000 for miscellaneous items. And if we want to look at this inventory and say, all right, our goals is to save out of each one of these different categories, the different percentage we set the goals for, we ultimately could be saving $49,000 that we can ultimately use for other missions and other projects. So if we look at our inventory again, after we've actually set this aside here, we start off with $150,000. Now we're spending $100,000, where we have an additional $50,000 available for other missions and projects. This right here is a possible goal that we can set for our energy and environmental plan. We also want to look at other areas, other opportunities for our goals, and let's say our environmental goals. So we want to look at our indoor air quality. So if we really understand, and people kind of say, James, what do you mean by indoor air quality? This right here is a very powerful slide because a lot of people don't really equate over energy, energy efficiency, and our health. But if you really understand these key areas right here, inhalation, what we breathe is going to directly affect it. And this is with indoor and outdoor. So we look at indoor air quality when we've got the faith-based organizations. We've got fellowship, during the week, and in my faith-based organization, we've got things happening 7 days a week. You want to make sure that there's issues with indoor air quality, communicable diseases, but not just indoor air quality, but how about lighting? Lighting affects the mood. Ever gone into a room where the lighting was not, good, and it drains you? It's not a good environment. So lighting has something to do with it. Sound has something to do with it also. Because now you're affecting the sound that you're dealing with. So this right here is your indoor environmental quality. And so we talk about what you breathe in. That's something that's going to affect your health. What you eat and what you touch and taste. How many faith-based organizations have water fountains throughout their organizations, throughout their building? Have you tested the water quality that comes out of the water fountains, or everything else? So that's going to be ingestion. Also, what you touch and your skin contact. This right here is another thing right here. So you might want to have a goal to directly affect, the actual indoor environment. And these right here is the goals that you can set. You can do prevention, correction, and avoidance, for your energy environmental goals. So let's talk about, assigning tasks. Assigning tasks is extremely important. So we've made the plan, we've set the goals. Now it's time for us to start assigning those goals to the people, the leadership, to actually initiate those, and the stakeholders and the partners. So now we're going to start assigning those goals, and a lot of times this is extremely important. And we talk about why those assigning goals are failed. But these are some key elements on why most plans fail. Things like narrow ownership, failure to follow the plan, poor and casual communication. Well, that's what we try to do inside of Chess is we help faith-based organizations follow through on their plans. We actually have the infrastructure to help out the communication for those plans. We have project managers on site to make sure that those plans are well thought through, but also assigned properly. We have those tools available that we're outreaching out to the faith-based organizations to get their initiatives put in place and their plans. Um, because most of the things that we find inside of these plans, through these initiatives throughout, the government and other organizations, is that there's not really good follow through. You might start an initiative, but then you don't follow it all the way through. And that's what we've been finding some of the major issues with these plans. So we're really trying to eliminate that. We're trying to make these plans as successful as possible so that faith-based organizations can actually be better stewards. So the next step out of here is identifying financing. You know, I cannot tell you how many faith-based organizations don't really understand how much funds are available. Let's give an example, going back over the example of the Ohio bills, the Senate Bill 221. There's literally millions of dollars available in a pool that people don't know. There's another initiative in Georgia, that there is money available for faith-based organizations to initiate solar thermal within their organizations to actually help reduce the cost for heating water and also heating the facilities during the wintertime. And sadly enough, there's going to be money lost because the faith-based organizations didn't actually take up the money. We're here to help stop that because we have the resources with leasing organizations, so that we can actually develop a leasing program, on-bill leasing program where, the cost of implementing energy efficiency retrofits into the buildings, putting in, renewable energy, it can actually cost you less than what you're paying for utility costs now. So what will happen is that you'll actually have a budget cost that will stay steady, but it'll be lower than you're paying now for utilities, so that you end up saving money. You'll know exactly what you're paying per month because the budget is it's like a stable budget amount, where that extra money can then be utilized for other missions and projects. So we look at that, and then we end off with the key area of the plan. That is, after we have the financing, we start confirming the plan. Us as a team, we're working with all our partners, all our faith-based groups. We start confirming the team, and then after that, you know what? It's time to putting things in action, implementing the plan, getting things together, keeping the plan on time and on budget and with quality control. That is key. You can actually be on plan. You can be on time and on budget, but if it doesn't have the quality you need, and if it doesn't have the actual necessary steps to make sure that it's exactly what you need to implement within those plans, then it's not worth it. It's not going to be a good outcome. And then the key things that people don't really get, that we work with every one of our partners, and that is the follow up and the monitoring of the outcome. If you've ever worked with any type of grant proposals, whatever, one of the key elements is what is the outcome of that plan or of that grant proposal. So we're actually utilizing that same kind of philosophy of following up and then keeping track and monitoring it. And that comes back for that baseline monitoring utility that we talked about earlier in the presentation. We're going to make sure that, we took a baseline, we installed the equipment, we took a baseline. Now we're going to actually see exactly how much money we're saving, real time. So we'll know that we started off with one level and we actually showed how that one level has dropped down dramatically. Okay, so, let's look at some real case scenarios here. So this right here has been pulled from one of our resources, and this shows an energy efficiency project for a faith-based group, okay, the Emmanuel Baptist Church. And this right here was these guys had construction of their facility was in 1959. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to actually have a plan, energy plan that modernized their HVAC system. So basically they looked at the energy plan. They did an energy audit. We talked about that right there. Set a baseline. From there, we talked about that there was incentives that were put in place. But look at this right here. They had a return on investment payback less than 9 months. So the money they put in there, they got a return less than a year, less than 12 months. So, this is extremely important. And then we looked at this right here, that they're right now, they're looking at an estimate of an average of a 20% reduction of overall heating. So if we go back over to that scenario, we talk about the Energy Star, where it said that there was 370,000 faith-based organizations. If they reduce their energy utilities by 10%, that we're looking at a $315 million could be utilized for other missions. Well, guess what? They took the first step, and not 10%, but 20%. And in actuality, if we look at other projects, let's say, for instance, putting in, a solar thermal where they're generating hot water and also heat during the wintertime, guess what? That 20% now can go up to 30, 40, and 50%. That funds can be utilized for other projects and other situations within this faith-based organization. This is the reason why we're putting this initiative together, because we want to help faith-based organizations to put together a successful energy and environmental plan to help them to initiate other projects and missions that is going to be key to help the community out. It's very simple. That is the initiative right here. So we look at exactly what is the faith-based group initiative here. Well, again, what we're trying to do here with the initiative is we're trying to establish and expand channels to provide knowledge, products and services, support for faith-based organizations to implement energy efficiency, renewable energy, and environmental health projects to help reduce energy consumption. We work with areas for energy efficiency, LED lighting, solar PV, solar thermal, online system management of energy, water, and equipment use, and indoor environment quality. We're starting off. We're looking at starting off in basically 4 states initially, but we understand that there might be some needs in other states, like Indiana, whatever other states in the country. And we're open to actually adding them in, because what we're looking at doing is expanding it as soon as possible to work with other faith-based groups. So we're actually looking at working with those other faith-based groups here. So now we look at how we can affect other groups and other initiatives nationwide. So we're looking at a 3-phase step again, but again, we are looking at working with other groups outside of those states to help this initiative be successful. Okay, I mean, I hopefully this FBOGreen webinar was helpful. We want to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. This is the first of many. We have like some exciting things that are happening next week. These seminars will be going every week on Thursday. This webinar will be recorded. We also want to go in and actually recognize some of our partners and sponsors. We've got Our Health Ministry, basically a great group to work with and be one of our partners to help out faith-based groups to implement electronic health ministries. We also want to recognize Clean Life Energy and Clean Life LED. They're going to be actually one of our webinar participants and presenters. They're going to be talking about implementation of LED lighting. So that'll be great for us to actually bring those guys on. If you have any questions, you can actually send them over to the FBOGreen at rhealthministry.com. And also, this recording will be set up and recorded and available online. We're going to send out a follow-up email for everybody to actually recognize and see. We want to invite as many people as possible to be a part of this FBOGreen. All you have to do is go over to www.chess-llc.com/FBOGreen. Again, that's www.chess-llc.com/FBOGreen. And please sign the form or fill out the form there so we can add you in the FBOGreen Initiative. Hey Laura, why don't you go ahead and actually finish us off and kick us off here?
Thank you, James, for your presentation. I want to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. I also want to remind everyone that a copy of the webinar will be available with answers to questions in a follow-up email. I also want everyone to know that the next webinar will be on financing, grants, and rebates on June 12th, 2014. That will be in the follow-up email as well. Or you can go to chess-llc.com/FBOGreen for future webinars. At that location, we need everyone to fill out the form on that page so we can add you to the Green Initiative. Again, I thank everyone for participating in the webinar and have a great day.
Bye, guys.